WNBA's attendance had a record-breaking high in 20 years with a total of 2.3 million fans attending games.
Therefore, you'd expect the league to protect her, to elevate her, to market her like gold. But instead, there's pushback. Instead of supporting the one player bringing in new money, some in the league seem more focused on downplaying her success than building on it. And that's a huge mistake. The truth is simple. Without Caitlin Clark, the WNBA's current momentum doesn't exist.
Viewership is higher, and they're asking for the money. And if the contract on the back end, the revenue, NBA gets 50+% to players, they do 9.3. There's an argument for it to be played. But you're right, if Caitlin Clark gets injured, it's over.
She's the reason ESPN is seeing a 170% increase in ratings. She's the reason fans are packing arenas from Indiana to New York. And he even joked that if a strike actually happened, the NBA might pop champagne. Not because they'd support it, but because it would mean fewer losses to cover. It was harsh, but it was real.
Question for you, Vinny. Real quick, rapid fire.
Go.
WNBA stats. Here we go. You're a sports guy. How many teams are in the WNBA?
I don't, 9?
No, 13. How many games do they play?
80?
40.
Damn it.
Who won the championship this year and who played in the finals?
The Florida Magics.
No, the New York Liberty beat the Minnesota Lynx.
Who?
Who exactly?
What made Reese's comments even more controversial is her own financial history. At LSU, she was one of the top-earning NIL athletes in the country. Her endorsement deals with Reebok, McDonald's, PlayStation, and Coach pushed her earnings to over $1.8 million in a single year. But now, as a rookie in the WNBA, her base salary is around $74,000. But now, as a rookie in the WNBA, her base salary is around $74,000. That's still a respectable paycheck, especially for a first-year pro. But Reese claimed it doesn't even cover her rent in Chicago.
Just hope y'all know, the WNBA don't pay my bills at all. I don't even think that pays one of my bills. I'm trying to think of like my rent for where I stay at. I'm gonna do the math real quick. I don't even know my salary. 74? Okay. Times. Yo! I'm living beyond my means. It's like, well, my rent is more than that. It's 8,000. That WNBA check don't pay a thing.
That disconnect raised eyebrows, not because people don't sympathize with cost of living issues, but because it sounded out of touch.
All right, so Angel Reese says this. Rob, if you want to play this. You know what I love watching? I love watching her highlights of missing shots. She's got to be the worst shooter you've met in your life.
But here's where it gets insane. Instead of rallying around Caitlin Clark, the player single-handedly dragging the league into the spotlight, Reese and others are calling for more pay.
Kind of a possibility on the last one, but like now I feel like just with the leverage that you know we have right now, and it's just a time that women's basketball is going crazy.
From a league that's losing tens of millions every year, this isn't just drama. This is the moment that could decide the future of women's basketball. Because if Caitlin Clark goes down, the whole league might collapse. Therefore, it's time to unpack the truth, the tension, the money, and why some say Angel Reese is hurting the WNBA more than she's helping. It was a warning, because right now, she's the single biggest reason the league is getting attention. But instead of being celebrated across the board, Clark is facing a wave of resentment from some of her fellow players. Veterans and rookies alike have taken subtle or not so subtle shots at Clark. From social media shade to on-court physicality, it's clear the attention she's getting is bothering some players. Some see her as overhyped. Others feel she hasn't earned the spotlight. But here's the thing, she didn't ask for it. She earned it by showing up, performing, and breaking records.
What they need, and by the way, maybe they should play hard, but not flagrant foul, Caitlin Clark, who can be, the face of the league. They may not like it's the face of the league.
Watch this here. To address the financial situation, I ask, the WNBA is, Rob, if you go up and ask the other question as well. Ask, is it true that the WNBA makes money when they don't play? Is it true that the WNBA makes money when they don't play? Ask that question.
What does that mean?
Yes. In a way, the WNBA has historically lost money and receives financial support from the NBA, which means that the WNBA games are not played. The league can actually save money by avoiding operating costs. Did you guys understand what happened right there?
Yeah.
So WNBA makes money so if they go on a strike, the NBA is like, awesome.
Therefore, the issue isn't whether WNBA players deserve more, it's whether the league can even afford to survive. That's why these strike threats feel out of place. And let's not forget the structure. WNBA players currently receive about 9% of league revenue. That might sound unfair next to the NBA's 50% player share, but there's a reason for it. The WNBA isn't bringing in enough revenue to justify more. In fact, even with that small cut, the league is still losing money. Therefore, any demand for raises has to be backed by real growth, not just in attendance or viewership, but in actual profit. Until the league becomes self-sustaining, higher salaries just aren't realistic. They're a nice idea, but not a financially responsible one.
Increase was from 2024 to 2023 in attendance in a year, 48%. That's massive for them. So that's the argument they're making. That's the Caitlin Clark effect.
Phenomenon, yeah.
Then, and when it comes down to merch from 23 to 24, they're up 601%. Then when it comes down to being broadcasted on ESPN, they average 1.2 million viewers per game, 170% increase.
But as Clark continues to build the future, others are still stuck in the past, demanding more money from a league that can barely keep the lights on.
So like the pay gap would be something that, we could just take a donation around the NBA maybe.
Yet, players are now demanding higher salaries, more benefits, and in some cases, like Angel Reese suggested, the right to walk out if they don't get what they want. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The WNBA only exists today because the NBA keeps it afloat. Each year, the NBA pours in somewhere between $10 and $12 million to cover the WNBA's losses. Without that funding, the league would fold. It's not an exaggeration, it's basic economics. Patrick Bet-David described it perfectly. The WNBA is a zombie company. It's alive on the surface, but being carried on someone else's back.
And what's her name? Angel Reese? Do it. I fully support your right to strike. So other sports have done it. So other major sports have done it. Here's a quick list for you, PBD. I put this together. Biggest sports strikes in history. 1994, the MLB strike. It was the first time that the World Series was canceled.
I remember.
Mm-hmm. You remember that? In 1998, the NBA went on strike. They canceled the All-Star game for the first time.
No one
the
knows.
NFL has gone on strike multiple times. 1982, 1987, 2011.
The WNBA can't. The WNBA is finally seeing momentum thanks to Caitlin Clark. Viewership is up. Arena attendance is breaking records. Merch sales are booming. But all of that progress could unravel if the league doesn't protect what's working. Angel Reese may be popular on social media, but the reality is that her impact doesn't match her noise. The WNBA can't afford to play political games or chase headlines. It needs results. And right now, the only player consistently delivering those results is Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark isn't just a rising star. She's the lifeline the WNBA didn't know it needed. In Clark's first season, the WNBA's attendance jumped by nearly 50%. That's not a small bump. That's a once-in-a-generation surge. Viewership on ESPN increased by over 170%. And merch sales, up by more than 60%. Therefore, it's not just hype, it's hard data.
Look, let's be honest, we can sugarcoat it all you want, but if you don't have Caitlin Clark playing women's basketball, or if you're not the NCAA tournament playing women's basketball, you got nothing. Zero, zip, nothing.
Caitlin Clark is growing the league in real time. Angel Reese said what? A rookie in the WNBA threatening to lead a strike before she's even mastered a layup?
Season 2, I can't wait to work with you some more. The biggest advice I have for you is going to be how you shoot your layups, period.
Layups? Bang! What do you mean? She's our double-double queen! Bang! What they say, if it's broke, don't fix it. Bang! Teaching Angel Reese to make a layup is like teaching an old dog a new trick. It ain't gonna work!
The rookie from Iowa didn't just enter the WNBA, she ignited it. Everywhere she goes, arenas sell out. TV ratings skyrocket, merchandise flies off shelves, and casual fans, who had never watched a women's basketball game before are suddenly tuning in. Therefore, when Patrick Bet-David said, "Every single one of you WNBA players better pray Caitlin Clark doesn't get injured," it wasn't a joke. It was a warning, because right now, she's the single biggest reason the league is getting attention. Therefore, when players like Reese suggest a strike, it raises a question that nobody in the league wants to answer. Who exactly would that hurt? Because unlike Major League Baseball or the National Football League, the WNBA doesn't have billions in reserve. The NBA does. And ironically, if WNBA players chose to sit out, the NBA might actually save money. Less payroll, fewer operational costs, and fewer headaches. As harsh as it sounds, a strike might be a financial win for the NBA, not a loss. In fact, even with all the hype and record-breaking buzz, the league is still underwater. Therefore, asking for bigger checks before you've secured a stable foundation isn't just risky, it's reckless. Meanwhile, Clark keeps her head down. She doesn't threaten to strike. She doesn't go on Instagram ranting about money. She plays, she delivers, and the league grows. That's the model. That's the future. Not just for Indiana, not just for her, but for the league. That's how fragile this moment is. One player holding up an entire business. One injury, one walkout. One bad decision away from collapse. So when Angel Reese talks about sitting out, she's not just taking a stand, she's gambling with the WNBA's future. And what happens next might shock everyone. And Angel Reese went live on Instagram and said, "If we don't get paid what we deserve, we'll sit out."
If y'all don't give us what we want, like, we sit out.
That's a possibility, for real.
Yeah.
It sent shockwaves through the sports world. The comment came off as bold, some would say brave. But to many, it sounded delusional, especially coming from a player still finding her footing in the pros.